here with Jim Korkis, very excited. He is the author of
The Vault of Walt, and I am so excited to be here with Allison to talk about this book. And I'm excited to be here with Allison because Allison knows everything there is about travel. And one of the jobs I had at Disney is I worked for the Walt Disney World Travel Company. And I was their spokesman for their travel launch.
I didn't know that.
So I went to 30 different cities in 10 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So that was 3 different cities a week. And so I really could have used Allison as that travel consultant because all I really saw was a hotel and the airport and then the convention room where I did the presentation.
Wow.
And so I'd have to squeeze in time in Dallas to go see the book depository and in Boston to see the bar that inspired Cheers and,
cool.
and all of that. And I thought, I wish I knew more. I wish I knew what I was looking at or what I should be asking to look at.
See, and I could have given you all that information.
That's true.
No.
And that's one of the reasons that in the book, The Vault of Walt, I cover 10 chapters about the Disney theme parks so that people, even if they've been there 100 times before, can see some things differently and find new things. And if they've never been there before, it's accessible enough that they can see this and they can understand the story that's there.
Yeah.
Because you know, travel is all about story.
It is, and I'm amazed. I mean, we've been walking around Disney's Wilderness Lodge, and I thought I knew a lot about this resort. I know nothing about this resort. I know how to make you have a magical vacation, but the history, I'm just amazed about all the stories and the history that you know.
And that's my
Disney.
life goal, is to make every person on this planet feel dumb when it comes to Disney. Now, actually, I was very dumb. I grew up in Glendale, California, which is right next to Burbank, California, where the Disney studios are. So when I was like about 8 or 10 years old, I would watch Disney cartoons, and I would write down the names at the end of the cartoon, and then I would go to the Glendale Burbank phone book and phone them up. How do you make that move? I had no idea the difference between an animator or a story man or layout, and a lot of them were very gracious. Some of them thought, well, this is an 8-year-old kid. One of my friends has put him up as a gag, but they invited me over.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
I would go. I remember one day clearly, my mom sitting out in the car reading a Harlequin romance while I went in and talked to Jack Hanna, who directed Donald Duck cartoons and all that, and he and his wife were very gracious, and there I was in my little black suit and my thin little black tie.
That's great. I love it.
And trying to act like I knew everything. I knew nothing. And my dad always told me, Jim, it's okay to look like an idiot for 5 minutes if you're a hero for the rest of your life. And Allison,
sounds like a good
that's
plan.
where I got all this information, is by meeting some of these Imagineers and asking these questions and being absolutely dumb. Well, what is that? And why is that? And they just loved telling to people who were interested, because I think a lot of people love hearing the stories.
Oh gosh, I know. I just loved it, and I'm like, want so much more now. I'm like, tell me more, tell me more.
Oh, we've made you an addict. Well, the first one's always free, Allison, and then it's thousands of dollars for the next.
Buy the book.
Yes, buy the book. It's on Amazon.com and also CreateSpace.com. It's $20, although Amazon right now has a special price, $14, and you can buy the Vault of Walt. And when you come out here to Florida, I will be more than happy to autograph it for you.
There you go. It's good to have good contacts, huh?
And since I have a background in animation, I'll even do a little sketch in there for you as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Especially if you come up and say, Allison sent me.
There you go.
Nobody else will get that sketch unless you come up and say, Allison sent me. I will do that.
There you go. Now, we'll actually put at the bottom of the video, we'll put the link so you know how to go and buy the video or buy the book.
Well,
so make
have
sure
you even told them what the book is?
No.
It's 450 pages.
Oh, no.
It's divided into 4 sections, 10 chapters about the life of Walt, his feelings about religion, his wedding anniversary that he celebrated at Disneyland 4 days before Disneyland Park opened. He celebrated at the Golden Horseshoe Review.
Cool.
Then we have 10 chapters about the parks, including the entire story of Cinderella's Golden Carousel.
Oh, Oh, you're kidding. Oh, I love that.
Because I knew Isle Vogt, who was the one who installed it in 1971 and worked with John Hench on the color scheme and all of this. So I got, and Isle has been retired many, many years now. None of this stuff was written down.
Wow.
I wrote it down, and Isle said, "You're very stupid. You don't know all of this." But now I do, so now I'm very smart. And then we have 10 chapters about Disney films, everything from the last live-action film that Walt did, Blackbeard's Ghost, to the Aristocats, to films that aren't covered in other books. And then we have 10 chapters that are miscellaneous. So we go through why the FBI was investigating the original Mickey Mouse Club.
Okay, now you can't leave that one. You have to give the dirt on that one.
And actually, they started a file on Walt Disney as a result of this.
You're kidding.
No, and then I also tell the story of Khrushchev and why he didn't come to Disneyland, and also Walt's housekeeper. Walt's housekeeper died a multi-millionaire, and she didn't know.
Oh, you're kidding.
What happened is, for her birthday and for holidays, Walt would always give her Disney stock and said, "You better hang on to that. One of these days that's going to be valuable." And when she died, she found out it was worth $9 million.
Oh my gosh.
And half of that went to her son, and half of that went to disabled children. But she lived quite happily without knowing that she was a multimillionaire thanks to Walt Disney.
Wow.
Her name was Foo-Foo. that was what the Disney grandchildren called her.
Oh,
and then we talk about Walt's nurse, and because at the end of the day, Walt would go into his office and he had an old polo injury, so he had to be massaged so that he could be relaxed enough to actually bend to get into his car to drive home. And so he would tell Hazel all of these stories and all of this, and Hazel actually wrote music for many of the Disney live-action films, but under a pseudonym, Gil George, because women didn't write music. So Walt gave her all sorts of opportunities. So all of those stories and more, and I'm very lucky I have an introduction by Diane Disney Miller.
I read that. That is amazing.
And she was so sweet. And in fact, Diane has invited me to go out to the Disney Family Museum in July and give a speech, and they sell the book, and I might even be able to do some training out there for some of their staff. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to him after that. That would be cool to hear all those details after that.
Well, you can talk to me all the time because I'm just
because you're right down the road. You've got lots of good stories.
I'm full
now,
of stories.
Before we close, I have to know one thing.
Sure.
We are at Walt Disney World.
Yes.
So what is your favorite, secret story for Walt Disney World?
That Allison is madly in love with me and nobody else knows.
See? Who would have known that?
Oh, favorite story? Oh, there are so many.
I know there's thousands of them.
I know a great Walt Disney story, a favorite Walt Disney story. Roy O. Disney. And of course, when Walt passed away, the Disney company was going to sell all of this property because who could make this dream come true except Walt Disney?
Right.
And Roy came out of retirement and said, we're going to make this a reality. It was called Disney World to match with Disneyland. We're going to call it Walt Disney World so that people will remember my brother. And so on opening day of the Magic Kingdom, it opened, by the way, debt-free. Thanks to Roy, who went and talked with all the participants and said, you want to have a part of Walt Disney World, you've got to pay your first year and last year lease in advance. So he was using some of that money, too, to fund all of this stuff. And so the reporters came up to Roy and said, well, Mr. Disney, you know, obviously you're a grandfather, you're at a retirement age, you know, why... And you came out to the wilderness of Florida to build this place. Why did you do that? And he said, I didn't want to have to explain to Walt when I saw him again why the dream didn't come true. Later that same day, he was out on a boat out on the Seven Seas Lagoon, and I never met Roy, unfortunately. Wonderful man, I think very underrated, but I did interview the boat driver, and I said, well, what's up with that? And he says, well, I talked to Roy, and I said, well, Mr. Disney, all the media is in the park. Shouldn't you be in the park? And he says, today is my brother's day. I want them to remember my brother today. That's my favorite Walt Disney World story.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, that's really good. See, now get a whole different appreciation of just Disney and Walt Disney World with your book and just your history. So, well, check out the book. It's amazing. Again, we'll include a link so you can go right to it and buy. And thank you, Jim,
Oh,
so
thank you.
much for
I hope you'll come by
and
talk
definitely.
again. And,
definitely.
and thanks to all of you. I hope a very happy new year to all of you, filled with lots of love and laughter and lots of good things that have been in short supply for too many people.
That's so true. All right, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.